Welcome to Your Creative Chord, hosted by creative force Jenny Lee Hodgins. Jenny Lee is an author, poet, and hobbyist nature photographer with over 30 years of experience as a piano, music, and chorus educator and performer. As the voice behind Your Creative Chord, Jenny Lee shares inspiring narratives, practical tips, interviews with creators, and uplifting wisdom for nurturing creative flow and inspired living. Join her on this empowering journey where creativity and inspiration meet transformation.
Hi, everybody. Jenny Lee Hodgins here. Welcome to Your Creative Chord podcast, where today's episode, Burnout Uncovered, Real Talk on Struggles and Rejuvenation, revisits the important topic of burnout. It's not just about feeling tired. Burnout is a profound state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion that can arise from work-related pressures or various life stressors. And we're going to do this in two parts. So this is part 1 today, and next week we'll continue with episode 63 in part 2. As someone who is currently navigating burnout myself, I want to make it clear that this is real in my life right now. We're going to note the symptoms of burnout, from physical signs like headaches and fatigue to emotional feelings of helplessness and cynicism. You might also notice behavioral changes like withdrawing from others or struggling with motivation. We'll tackle the impact on sleep, wellness habits, and the subtle shifts in your attitude that signal it's time for a change. Join me today as we talk openly about these struggles and explore recovery and rejuvenation strategies to help you and me reclaim our vitality and creative energy. As I talk about burnout today, I want to emphasize that I'm coming from an authentic personal place. I'm currently still grappling with the quality and quantity of my own sleep. I often wake in the early hours, and I'm not consistently yet getting a full 8 hours of sleep. And this sleep disruption has contributed to a certain level of cynicism I've developed toward some individuals, largely due to intense situations I have faced during my time as a community leader, in my caregiver role, in my personal life, and other things. The behaviors I encountered from some in the community and even some in my personal sphere have been far from pleasant. And though many others have been wonderfully and mutually reciprocal with support, appreciation, and effort, these experiences have been utterly draining to manage. Caring for my senior mom has brought its own set of serious challenges and tasks. While I've continued to push forward with my online content and business tasks, it has not been and is not easy. For a while, I felt like I was limping along under the weight of these responsibilities. This challenging period has led me to reflect on my past tendency to overextend myself for others at my own expense. Big learning curve here. For the past 8 years, due to interpersonal experiences, I've become acutely aware of the importance of setting healthy boundaries. I have set and practiced healthy boundaries ever since I got here from Florida to Kentucky to be in place as my mom's caregiver. And even when setting healthy boundaries didn't sit well with those who had grown accustomed to taking advantage of me or didn't appreciate my efforts. I've really learned the hard way that no one will think or take care of me but me. So I've seriously doubled down on keeping space from toxic behaviors. Though that's brought a great deal of relief, it also comes with its share of mixed emotions. These kinds of really deeply emotional chapters fed my burnout. And despite these challenges, I've continued to keep my piano practice going and engage with my online communities to share helpful piano progress tips and positive strategies for creative flow and inspired living. I also published 2 books this year: Start Piano, What You Need for Successful Learning, and Kaleidoscope of the Heart, a poetry and lyrics collection. So high five to me for getting that done. But I also faced several unexpected losses over the past 8 years, including a very dear friend who kept in touch weekly through positivity and goal accountability texts, my dear aunt, complicated by the pandemic, and last year, the passing of my beloved 24-year cat, which required my extensive daily care for a long time. Importantly, I am now proactively countering my cynicism to eradicate any negativity toward others, no matter how poorly they may have treated me. And I'll be sharing the tools I'm using to help shift my perspective and for burnout relief and recovery later in this episode and in part 2. Although I've discussed burnout on Your Creative Chord podcast twice this year, I'm back to revisit it because I'm still in recovery. I'm walking through this experience with you authentically and together to transform burnout into fresh and joyful energy. So let me know if you relate to this experience. If you're dealing with burnout, I hope this episode offers you some really helpful insights. And I'd love to hear your experiences or any tips you'd like to share. Please come and join my Creative Currents community at YourCreativeChord.com/get inspired here, where you can connect with others and me and get my inspirational bookmark trio. This trio includes tips to reset your energy and boost your creative flow, which we're covering in this 2-part episode series. Today, I will share my burnout experiences truthfully with you because I know it's likely relatable to you. I also know that talking openly about it is itself a healing tool. So thank you for providing me that chance to get therapy by talking straight with you. Again, I hope you'll accept my sincere invitation to share your perspective with me by connecting with me at YourCreativeChord.com/get inspired here. I especially want to ingrain successful strategies for healing and rejuvenation in our lives. So let's get started. First, let's define burnout. Burnout is a deep state of mental, physical, and emotional exhaustion that can stem from prolonged stress. Here are some common signs to look out for. See if you relate to any of these. Physical symptoms like headaches, fatigue, trouble sleeping, or getting sick more often. Emotional signs like feeling helpless, you might feel cynical, self-doubt, or a noticeable droop in experiencing satisfaction. You might want to withdraw from others, procrastinate, or struggle just to keep up with everyday tasks. And there may be, besides these behavioral changes, there may be attitude shifts, including increased negativity, irritability, and difficulty handling stress can start to creep in. For me, these burnout symptoms parallel many symptoms of grief. And recognizing these signs is really key to addressing burnout and moving toward recovery and rejuvenation. Now, to illustrate my personal wrestling with burnout and my struggle to overcome it, I'd like to share my poem, Struggle. As you listen, let my accompanying original music take you into the moment and connect with your own experiences. These verses capture common burnout symptoms like feeling overwhelmed and the internal battle we often face. Here is my poem, Struggle. Stop the banging, the racket, the jitters, the drums that shake you, break you, run you in circles from that lopsided spinning wheel barreling your mind. Leave that torturous, neurotic noise behind. Use an image, like stuffing all your crazy into an oversized balloon that flies away. Or dump all that ugly, murky blackness in your head into a dark, wide sea and sail your boat instead. The point is, your hell is created from inside. So make it a world that is beautiful to find. Whatever trips you up, wind it up another way. Your darkness is treasure in the light of day. Dull, dim clouds of gray blocking your sky? You are a rainy season. Who's to question why? So let it pour, let it roar, let it thunderstorm. Who's to say, anyway, that is not your norm? Bad weather, like relentless weeds, has a place, serves a purpose, and a need to fill a space. Lesson learned, universal shift, and suddenly those clouds will lift, leaving something growing there, something brand new to appear. Everything refreshed by the light coming through this rising transformation that originates from you. After hearing my poem, Struggle, reflect on it. How have you experienced burnout in your own life? What symptoms resonate with you? Let me share some of my personal experiences with burnout and a few insights I've gained. For example, until recently, I was HOA board president. When I took on the role, the situation was, frankly, a wreck. Depleted funds, long neglected repairs, unpaid bills, 2 insurance claims from climate damages, and a divided community. Several previous board members had moved away, leaving gaps that added to the challenge. So, building a solid team, we pushed forward despite the constant high-stress demands. And while we had wonderful support from many owners, there were also a few who were quite hostile. Trying to meet legal and community obligations in that atmosphere eventually just drained me. I felt it taking a toll even as we were making progress. From that experience, I learned a lot about boundaries and resilience. However, responding to unrestrained and often really disrespectful complaints, frequently while shouldering additional weight when others left or didn't contribute, was really exhausting. As a live-in caregiver and POA for my mother, I also face significant logistical challenges. Beyond that, there's the emotional weight of being the sole caregiver in a family with no external support. This role has forced me to confront everything from grief and anger to sadness and disappointment, and the ongoing need to establish clear boundaries, a really challenging but essential aspect of maintaining a healthy space for both of us. The emotional toll is something I hadn't anticipated at all. I was unprepared for the unexpected turns of events I'd faced. That reality, along with the emotion it brings, plays a huge role in my accumulated fatigue now. Then there's my work as a solo entrepreneur, coach, author, podcaster, and that's a whole different ballgame. Between developing content, writing and publishing books, creating new courses and programs, and working with clients, and everything else that goes into running a business, it's easy to get lost in a never-ending to-do list and perfectionism. But here is something I've learned. Focusing on the 20% of work that makes the biggest impact toward my priority goals and letting the rest go brings greater satisfaction and productivity progress. That's that 20-80 principle. Google it. It's a great principle. Even with that clarity, there are days when the sheer amount of tasks and the learning curve as an entrepreneur is overwhelming. That is why staying focused on my top priorities is critical for maintaining a sustainable workflow. Plus, working from home with caregiving on top of that can blur the line between work and personal life, making it really hard to switch into downtime. There's flexibility, for which I'm really grateful, but it also comes with the temptation to keep working even when I really need to stop. It's an internal battle between continuing work to catch up on what I've missed due to other disruptive compartments of my life versus shutting the door on work for the night to refresh myself for the next day. I know now it's essential to carve out work limitations to create a structure that lets me rest. I've experienced firsthand how burnout creeps up when we ignore our need for time off. All of this has taught me that burnout doesn't just come from one big thing. It's the sum of all these accumulated layers of responsibility building up over time. Facing my burnout meant I had to acknowledge that I've developed a habit of being crazy busy with task productivity at the expense of my personal and emotional wellness. I also had to learn that willingly wanting to be of service and help others must never be done at the expense of my emotional, mental, or physical health. My experience with burnout has taught me these lessons by literally forcing me into an exhausted state that I had to reflect on how I got there. I am so grateful that I'm now aware of the need for boundaries. I'm thankful that burnout served the function of waking me up. Burnout can lead to finding a deeper meaning and purpose in and for our lives. And that's the silver lining for me, anyway. Each experience I've had with these areas of my life reminds me that burnout is something we can work through with greater awareness of our wellness needs, self-compassion, clear boundaries, and a willingness to adjust our priorities for a healthier way forward. We only have one life to live, and the goal is not to burn candles at both ends until we snuff ourselves out. I've experienced burnout as insomnia, chronic fatigue, depression, sadness, irritability, loss of interest in engaging with certain people, and a lowered sense of concentration. If you've ever felt this kind of slow, steady drain, know that you are not alone. It's real, and we're in this together. So let's pay attention to the impact of burnout and explore what it takes to recover from burnout, reset our energy, and rejuvenate ourselves. In this next section, let's talk about the impact of burnout. It's important to know that burnout doesn't just affect us in one area. It impacts us emotionally, physically, and mentally. And that means it directly impacts us creatively too. As I stated, the emotional weight of burnout manifests as chronic fatigue and cynicism for me and many others. There were times when I couldn't get to sleep, or I woke up in the wee hours of the morning due to heavy worry. It was hard to find joy in activities I once relished because I was so overwhelmed with tasks that I didn't even allow myself to feel. And that lack of connection to my creative flow was depressing. This shift in my emotional state made me realize how crucial it is to address burnout to enjoy a greater quality of life. When I thought of preparing this episode series, I got excited actually about the joy of sharing my real struggle with you, and the creativity of my music and my written verses from my poetry book, Kaleidoscope of the Heart, because it put me back in touch with myself and with what's really important to me, inspiring you with the power of creativity. So have you noticed any shifts in your own emotional state when you're feeling burnout? What signs do you see in yourself? Physically, burnout can present itself as exhaustion that doesn't go away even with dedicated rest. I'm going through that right now. I'm allowing myself more sleep by going to bed earlier and skipping my alarm when I feel like I need more sleep. I typically never sleep past 6 a.m., so when I feel that way, I allow myself to sleep. I also experience chronic neck pain from muscle tension, especially after long days of juggling responsibilities or at a screen. And I heard on another podcast recently that chronic neck pain can be symbolic of relationship challenges, like literally they're a pain in my neck. So I've had this for many years, so that kind of tells you something about some of my personal and professional challenges. For me, that's where it shows up. Other people get headaches, migraines, upset stomachs, or other physical pain from burnout. What about you? Do you have any physical symptoms that signal you're approaching burnout? Mentally, burnout clouds our ability to clearly concentrate or to tap into creativity. When I struggle to remember details that once came easily, I know I'm either approaching or I'm already feeling burned out. My creativity, something I usually relied on to flow easily for both my work and personal fulfillment, diminished significantly due to just having no vitality. And this decline in mental clarity and energy made it even more challenging to accomplish my work. When you're burned out, how does it affect your mental clarity? Now that I've entered and I'm recovering from burnout, I know the importance of recognizing these signs before they escalate or accumulate. There were moments when I brushed off my fatigue, thinking, I'll catch up on my rest once my task list is complete, or once I meet that deadline. But I've learned ignoring those signals only prolonged my recovery. Acknowledging burnout causes and symptoms early on allows us to take proactive steps to address these, whether through setting boundaries, self-care, seeking support, or simply allowing ourselves the grace to rest. Pardon this brief interruption. I'm Jenny Lee Hodgins, and I'm excited to share 2 resources that can truly enhance your life or serve as thoughtful gifts for those you care about. First, Kaleidoscope of the Heart, a collection of poetry and lyrics, is a beautiful, diverse, and therapeutic exploration of the human experience. My verses reflect my inner transformation and serve as a powerful tool to help others tap into their inherent empowerment. With a range of poetic and lyrical styles and themes, from relationships and nature to self-empowerment and resilience, this collection offers hope and strength through the power of authentic expression. Whether you're new to poetry or a long-time reader, its reflective and spiritually optimistic qualities make it a unique source of comfort and insight. One reader shared, quote, "Jenny has gifted us with a comprehensive dive into universal matters of the heart: nature, relationships, loss and grief, hope, and the artist's life. This poetry offers moments of introspection and illumination about our human condition." End quote. Second, if you or someone you know is interested in learning piano, Start Piano: What You Need for Successful Learning is an invaluable guide. This book covers everything from choosing the right keyboard and finding a great teacher to mastering effective practice techniques. It's perfect for new learners and those returning to the piano. Both books make fantastic gifts as well. For holiday shopping or special occasions, buying Kaleidoscope of the Heart in bulk to share with friends and family is an easy way to spread inspiration and joy. Similarly, bulk orders of Start Piano can equip aspiring musicians and educators alike with valuable tools for success. You can discover both books at YourCreativeChord.com/books. I am confident they'll bring value and inspiration to you and those you care about. For me, setting limits and giving myself the grace to take care of myself and sit with my feelings are powerful in helping me recover from burnout. Before we launch into more in-depth strategies for recovery, take a moment here to absorb my poem called My Perfection. This poem expresses my inner talk as I grappled with my burnout tendencies. Here's my perfection. I don't have to do it all today. My perfect home, my masterpiece. My ideal marriage to my soulmate. My complete and total fitness. My work plans laid out in advance. My 100% victory in finance. Everything does not have to be perfect now. My elevated status, my enlightenment, my complete transformation in my personal development, my overwhelming ability to handle everything with charm. If I don't make it happen in this moment, it won't set off any alarm. Everything does not have to be superior in my proper, orderly way. No pressing need for ducks in a row. No deadline looming for ultimate accomplishment. No penalty waits for not moving at ultra-high speed. No sky will fall, no death to us all. No horrible stop to our spinning planet. No, my perfection is not crucial for life as we know it. Tell my voice inside my head, I can relax and go to bed. Tell my heart that's pumping steam, I can fulfill my lifelong dream in tiny steps, in bits of time, in increments. It's not a crime to give me a bit of breathing space, to stretch or float, to rest my case, to take it easy on myself, leave stuff sitting on a shelf, just for a moment to take things in, get back in the groove again, absorb, enjoy, and experience life. Appreciate what I've got inside. Let go of crazy expectations. Allow all kinds of fluctuations as only colors on my canvas, painting all my dramas mammoth, rolling over obstacles and detours with lines and strokes to open new doors, for exploration to truly define my journey as myself divine. My perfection emphasizes the importance of stepping back and granting ourselves grace through challenging periods. It reminds us to let go of harsh self-talk and reconnect with our poetic heart. Reflecting, what are some unrealistic expectations you hold for yourself that might contribute to feelings of burnout? It's well known that prioritizing self-care and rest is critical for balance, especially when avoiding or recuperating from burnout. I've discovered that I've developed a habit of working so much for so long, mostly for others and not for my own benefit, that I need to relearn how to actually rest. Can you relate to this struggle? So, how do we prioritize self-care and rest? For me, it starts with setting boundaries for my emotional space and work hours. After what I've been through, I've come to a place where I will no longer tolerate the lack of healthy boundaries. This means I will not do anything for someone else unless I really want to, and only if it doesn't overextend me. I've learned that I can't change what others think or do, but I can control my actions. So I don't do anything unless I can afford to, mentally, emotionally, financially, and physically, period. That allows me to be the best me for myself and others. I also don't allow toxic behavior or people in my environment. I have spent way too many years bending over backward as a people pleaser for those who didn't appreciate my efforts, or worse, took advantage of them. I will tell you that that lesson has come very late in my life and it came very hard, but I have learned it really well. Offering help to those who don't appreciate or reciprocate positive intent is a mistake I no longer make. I think first, I catch myself, and I either refrain from offering or I say no when asked. And as Jane Fonda coined, no is a complete sentence. These healthy limits benefit not just me. By maintaining boundaries, I don't allow others to make negative, unhealthy causes in relation to me. Now I carefully choose who I spend my time and effort on, guided by the criteria of positive, mutual reciprocity. Do you find it challenging to say no or maintain boundaries? How do you handle it? Since I work from home, I've established a clear and structured work schedule. I'm aiming for it. It doesn't always go perfectly. It's a work in progress. But I start typically early in the morning, including time for me, daily prayer, a walk or a yoga workout, and then I begin to work in 90-minute time blocks. I avoid notifications on my phone or computer. I just turn them off, and except for calendar reminders or timers. I fit in piano practice usually mid-morning to shift my focus and boost my mood a little bit. Because you do need some breaks mentally. You can't just stay in that focus zone forever and you'll burn out just from doing that. You do need some shifts. So that's why I put my piano practice kind of in mid-morning. After lunch and another work block, I aim to rest every day for about 30 minutes, even if I don't nap. And I take my mom to her wellness activities or appointments from about 3 p.m. And then I work again until dinner. And I use that dinner time as my cutoff point because stopping can be hard, especially if I've had non-work disruptions or I have a looming deadline. But I know I must remove myself from screens and rest. I usually relax with a TV show or two, and then I'll wind down with yoga or a bath, depending on the day. I'll enjoy reading fiction, or I'll listen to audiobooks or podcasts for about 30 to 45 minutes, using a timer to auto-stop the story if I fall asleep. What small habits or routines help you disconnect from work? Self-care also means giving myself grace when I feel tired or run down. If I'm feeling overly tired, which I do frequently lately because I'm still in recovery, I don't set an alarm. I allow my body to rest if needed. And since I rarely sleep past 6 a.m., when I do, I know my body requires it. And that's where I allow myself some grace. I also give myself grace with work tasks. If something requires more brain power and my energy is really low, I'll postpone it, prioritizing it the next day when I'm refreshed. I used to just kind of burn through it, and that is what led to my burnout, pushing myself so hard. So I'm learning that quality work and creative energy have kind of an ebb and flow that I must respect to achieve holistic balance in my life. Do you notice an ebb and flow in your energy throughout the day? How do you adjust when your energy dips? I really love the analogy by my life mentor, the late Daisaku Ikeda. He said we must strive to be like symphony conductors, balancing periods of intense activity with quieter moments and silence to create a beautifully balanced life. He talked about balancing work, play, and rest in this way. Personally, I excel at vigorous periods of relentless effort, but I really must practice now moments of silence and rest. And when I think of my life musically, Ikeda's analogy really resonates with me. Music is made much more beautiful with the appropriate balance of silence and rest. As we conclude this part of the series, I'd like to share some music that I composed. And this is a moment for you to engage in self-care with a kind of musical meditation. And while you listen, really reflect on what we've discussed today: the need for setting boundaries, granting yourself grace, and reconnecting with your creative heart. So let the music really support you in finding calm and clarity before we continue our discussion on recovery exploration. Here we go. As we navigate this really important discussion on burnout, I invite you to reflect on your own experiences. What symptoms resonate with you? How has burnout shown up in your life? I really hope this episode provides valuable insights and strategies for navigating these challenges. I've shared my journey through the layers of burnout that I'm navigating and how it's prompted a much needed reassessment of my boundaries and priorities. I'd love to hear from you. If you relate to these experiences or you have tips that have helped you, please share them with me. You can connect with me through my Creative Currents community at YourCreativeChord.com/get inspired here. No spaces. And I'll drop all these links in the show notes. There, you'll also find my inspirational bookmark trio, which offers strategies to reset your energy and enhance your creative flow. Topics we'll continue to explore in this two-part episode series. I'm using these strategies myself right now. Thank you for allowing me to share my truth with you today. Remember, discussing these struggles openly can really be a powerful tool for healing. I do feel better. Thank you for letting me talk about it with you. And let's continue to walk this path together, transforming burnout into fresh, joyful, creative energy. See you soon.
Thank you for joining this episode of Your Creative Chord. We hope the discussion has inspired and empowered you. If you've enjoyed today's episode and have ideas you'd love to share or topics you'd like us to explore further, we'd love to hear from you. Leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback not only helps us improve, but also guides the direction of future episodes, ensuring we continue to inspire and empower our amazing listeners like you. For more updates, inspiration, and community interaction, visit yourcreativechord.com/get-inspired-here. Your engagement and feedback are deeply valued. Until next time, keep embracing the places where creativity and inspiration meet transformation in your daily life. Thank you again for engaging with Your Creative Chord. Take care and have a harmonious day.